our next guest, who is the Mayor of Wairoa and who will be dealing with many of these issues. Craig, I don't know if you're quite aware of the background, just before we talk about what's happened to you just recently, but you've got the Hawke's Bay Regional Council laying that sort of environmental ambit over you, haven't you, rather than you doing it yourself?
Yes. Good morning, Michael. Yes, we have.
And Craig Little, Mayor of Wairoa. And one of the things that Kerry Worsnop, who's just come back from a Nuffield Scholarship, is saying is that policymakers in general don't have a good appreciation or understanding of the farming community in specific and how hard farmers are doing it. Do you guys in the Wairoa District Council?
I think in Wairoa we do, because we're a bit smaller, but once you get the regional councils probably gets a bit bigger, and this is why I say I don't always support regional deals of anything really, because you miss out on the smaller places like Wairoa, and in our case Wairoa, maybe Central Hawke's Bay. Don't know, she's probably right, but you can rest assured they should have a bit of appreciation, because there are quite a few farmers on the regional council. And
yes, you're right. So they should be doing better.
They should, but they don't.
No, they don't. And I think that's because of the structure that regional councils have throughout New Zealand, the way in which they are. Now here's the issue for you as a mayor. The way in which local government bureaucrats are able to separate what they call governance from management and increasingly push governance back from a lot of decisions that they make. Do you find the same problem as a mayor?
Oh, 100%. Look, it's just normal human nature that you've got the governance and you've got the operations, and one wants to take over from the other, I guess, but one should be in charge, and that's the governance, and that passes down through your CE. And I can probably be, probably described as quite an interfering mayor, because I want to make sure that everything is done right. And because at the end of the day, we get it in the neck. That's myself and the other elected members, so I won't be in that position not knowing what's going on. And
no, fair enough.
As simple as that. And in a nutshell, Michael, when you tell somebody something, it goes through about 3 different people, and it doesn't always come out to what you wanted in the first place.
Agreed. Listen, Wairoa's a small district in New Zealand. As you know, I was born there. My father taught. It was his first teaching job at Wairoa College. It's had quite an illustrious life, in actual fact, Wairoa. It's gone through tough times. It's probably going through, I would imagine, tough times now. But the reason we're talking today, and we've talked about social and political issues that have affected you and the good people of Wairoa, is because you're just about to lose the only way in which you can communicate with each other to a good degree, and that is your local community newspaper, the Wairoa Star. What effect is that going to have on a small community such as yours?
No, it's a huge effect, Michael. It's a very sad day. This paper, it does everything for us. Everything you want to know is in the Wairoa Star. And if there's an event on, if someone's died, someone's got engaged, someone's been born. And there are a lot of people saying, papers are, done by, we don't use them anymore. Well, a lot of people do. We're an aged population in Wairoa, which is a great thing. And I still read the paper. I love it. Everyone loves that paper. It goes internationally, all around the world, online now. In the old days, my mother used to post it to me when I was living in London. It's just an institution, and it's really sad, but I just hope there's someone out there, because I think the paper itself was doing not too bad. Just the shop was probably pulling it down a little bit.
Well, can I just ask you on that? Because the Wairoa Star was a community newspaper. It was owned and operated by people who are actually resident in your area. Then it was taken over by, as I understand, NZME, which is based in Auckland.
One of the biggest shareholders.
Yeah, but they're primary shareholders, along with the Gisborne Herald, which I think now is also owned by NZME. Yes. They made the commercial decision to close it down, yeah?
That's correct. Look, they made the decision on behalf of their shareholders.
Right. So they didn't give a rat's ass about Wairoa at the end of the day. It was all about shareholders, wherever they might be, whether in New Zealand or abroad.
Oh, correct. If you don't live in Wairoa, probably you don't care about Wairoa, and that's what's happened here. And but they have told me that they are quite happy to be approached if anyone wants to come and look at buying the organisation. Now,
is that an option for you?
It is an option. I can't say what's happening really at the moment. There's a couple of things in the pipeline, so pretty minor at the moment, but we're working on them. There could be something good happening but we've just got to, because it's a vital piece of infrastructure for Wairoa.
Now, as you quite rightly say, a lot of people will say, oh, God, always go online. Why can't they just put it on Facebook or something like that? What's your answer to them?
No, you just can't. It's just, we've got, there's a lot of people, I'm 61, even people my age, don't want to go online and read papers. And they're quite happy to have a paper they can pick up, and it gets distributed right across all the freights, all of the rural deliveries pick it up and drop it off to everyone. It's just something worth, you can't wait for that paper to come out.
So it comes out what, once a week, twice a week? How often?
Twice a week at the moment. They were looking at, when they're looking at all options, coming out once a week. But, at the end of the day, when you sit down for a cuppa, you haven't always got your cell phone. Young ones have, but older people haven't got their cell phones or aren't online, or, it's easy. Pick up a paper and read it, and that's where we are still at. But it's just smaller communities probably do things differently than larger communities.
Oh, that said, though, I mean, I noticed that in Auckland they're still producing a New Zealand Herald in the print and still distributing that. So obviously there is a market for it in the larger centres as well. Listen, the other thing that concerns me, I'm interested in how a small community like you, who has been buffered and beset, oh God, since probably the 1980s, really, if we think about it, and continually has your best and brightest leaving to a large degree because that's where the opportunities are, is sufficiently resilient to deal with knock after knock after knock after knock, Craig. How do you guys do it?
Well, your skin does get thicker, Michael, I've got to say, but you're right. I saw a wonderful comment on Facebook after the start closed, and she said, "Oh my God, what else can be done to us? We've lost everything. We've lost our aged care facility. We've lost our IHC care facility. We can't do local dialysis in Wairoa. It just goes on. The dentist is gone. But the government is standing back and doing nothing about this. So we're fully aware of it. And here we are. We've grown our community from 7,000. We're back up to about 9.5. We're doing everything we can, but I don't think we're getting the support required to get behind us. We're just losing everything. We've got a new supermarket. That wouldn't have come if the population hadn't been building, and the health services are diminishing. Yet they're telling us before they were diminishing because the low population. We're growing it now, so I don't know what excuse they're using now. We're just battling it the whole time, Michael. You're right. It's just really hard.
And you're symptomatic, so it's not like Wairoa's alone. There are a lot of small towns like you in the North and South Island who are similarly having services stripped out of them. Banking services would be another one, Craig, as well. At some point, do you think, and you've just mentioned you've got to travel now for some sort of relatively, I would have thought, basic health services. At some point, does the government need to start investing in small towns to keep them alive, or do you think they're just content to watch you die?
Oh, well, it appears that, look, the biggest investment was Shane Jones and his PGF. That was huge for our country. That did so much good. And then, unfortunately, a little bit was that eroded from Labor. And then now we've had the government come to town, but we haven't received anything. But it's just everything, Michael, like the banks. That got old people out of their homes to go to the bank, bump into a couple of people, talk to them, pick up the Wairoa Star, bump into a couple of people, talk to them. It just goes on. We have no mental health backup now in Wairoa. It just can't go on. It's just really, the government needs to wake up and think, well, actually, rural communities is pretty important to the bigger picture. And what we produce to the GDP is huge in Wairoa. And there should be some sort of thing you can clip on that saying, well, actually, these guys are doing their bit. We should be putting more back into this town.